Ben, again, moderating. And again, I want to thank you guys for joining us. I guess the first thing I want to do is shout out and thank the coaches, the coaching staff, uh, our auxiliary staff here, the professors on campus, all the people that played a major role in helping us with this recruiting cycle that we're actually still in. I know for some people they think it's over, but we're still actively recruiting all the way through the second signing period. But we've had a lot of people, when you sign a class this big and this talented, a lot of people deserve to be thanked. And there's a ton of people, especially people on campus, that give us their time when we bring these prospects on and really do a great job of selling just how great the University of Maryland is. Our coaching staff has done a phenomenal job of closing and getting the necessary information to the people involved in the recruiting process with these prospects. And then again, the behind the scenes staff, from our operations people to our kitchen staff upstairs that work overtime on weekends to help make these events go really, really smoothly. So too many to thank individually, but there's a lot of people that goes into signing a class like this, and I do want to thank all of those guys. Through this class, we've addressed a bunch of areas from a recruiting standpoint. As you guys know, in recruiting, we're always trying to fill needs, whether it's by position, by sides of the ball. And for us this year, the two major areas for us was addressing the pass rush as well as our wide receiver position. And when you look at the pass rush, the ability to sign, 3-4-star guys that have the ability to get after the quarterback really helped us meet the needs that we were trying to get accomplished through this recruiting cycle. And then at the receiver position, losing the talent and depth that we had with the guys that are leaving our program was really important to bring in the right kind of guys to fill those voids. And we feel like we hit the mark on both those necessary needs. I think this class offers great balance. Right now going into, I think it's like 12 offensive players, 12 defensive players. We're able to keep some guys here at home. I think 2 of the top 7 ranked players from our state we were able to keep here. And then I think we got 9 overall from the state of Maryland. And, while we recruit nationally, obviously we always talk about the DMV region and really trying to do a great job of mining this area. And we know that we won't get them all. And not that we even try to recruit them all, but we want to get the right ones. We've done a great job here in the Mid-Atlantic region, whether it's in North Carolina, Florida, the DC area, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, so all up and down the Mid-Atlantic region where it's kind of our footprint. Our coaches have done a great job of going in there and really selling the trajectory of where our program is headed. We should have 8 guys early enrolling, so it'll be great to get those guys here on campus. Some will actually take part in our bowl preparation here starting tomorrow, and that's always a plus because when you lose players like we have, either through the transfer portal or their declaration to go get ready for their professional aspirations, it's always good to be able to get some new bodies in here. And so we have a number of our high school freshmen that are early enrollees that will be partaking in some of the pre-bowl game practices that'll help us prepare for a great opportunity against NC State. I consider this another foundational class when you look at it. As you can see, the numbers continue to go up with the way the NCAA has allowed us to now not just sign 25. As I've said before, I anticipate losing at least a third of our roster every year because of the transfer portal, guys declaring early. And so, we've really done a good job of having answers when we felt like we were losing certain position groups. If there's one area that we're still actively recruiting and will continue to do so, whether it's through the transfer portal or late high school signees, the offensive line position group is still one that's a need for us, and we're actively working it and feel really strongly that we'll be able to get that need addressed here as we continue to move forward in the recruiting process through the next signing date. The goal is for us to compete for Big Ten championships. We feel this class here gives us that opportunity with what we've built and the foundation we've started already. So with that, I'll open it up for questions from you guys.
Thank you, Coach. We'll start with Ryan McFadden. Hey, Coach, digging the blazer.
Thanks. This whole thing.
Yeah. My question for you, just why was addressing the need at pass rush so important for you in recruiting class?
I think the big thing is obviously we're losing players like Chami, who has done a tremendous job. Been one of our better pass rushers. Van Darius Cowan, also a guy that we're possibly losing as a senior. Tyler Baylor. But if you really look at us, when we've had the ability to put pressure on the quarterback, it's usually come from add-on blitzers. What we wanted to do is try to go address our athleticism at the edge rush position with some really athletic, twitchy guys that create one-on-one issues to where that makes your defensive coordinator's ability to be more versatile. Instead of adding rushers, have a guy that wins the one-on-one battle more consistently. And each of the three rush guys that we're bringing in, obviously Rico Walker has the ability to play tight end as well, and he could very well start on that side of the ball when he gets here. But we feel like all three of those guys bring a tremendous amount of athleticism and twitch and length that we look for. That on the defensive side of the ball, we always talk about the keys to winning on defense is creating turnovers. Well, one of the quickest ways to do that is to get after the quarterback, and we feel like all three of these guys have the ability to do that.
And to follow up on Rico Walker, is the expectation for him going in to play tight end, or is it kind of like you guys going to try to fill it out and see where he would fit best?
No, with the depth that we lost with CJ Dupree leaving and Weston Wolf also leaving, I think we're going to start him on the tight end side. Anybody that knows me knows, though, if he can add value as a pass rusher, I am never opposed to playing guys both ways. But right now, the goal would be to bring him in as a tight end, start there in the tight end room first. But we do know that when we evaluated him and had our tight end room stay consistent with what it was, he probably would have started as an edge. So kudos to the kid for being athletic enough to be able to be recruited at a very high level, because I know some schools were recruiting as a tight end, some were recruiting as a rush. That he has that flexibility for us, and that helps our program.
We'll go to Emmett Siegel.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Hey, Emmett, how you doing, buddy?
Doing well. You've kind of developed this reputation really since you got here and throughout your career as a guy who's a really good closer on the recruiting trail. What did the last couple of days look like for you, especially with guys that maybe are publicly committed to other schools, kind of closing the deal with some of these top guys in the area?
Well, the last 48 hours is obviously a big push, not just for me, but for anybody that's in this business of recruiting, because I can just tell you it gets really crazy and wacky the last 48 hours. And I know there's some schools out there that thinks there's some, conspiracy theories of what goes on, but I can tell you it's a lot of phone calls, a lot of hard work, a lot of direct messaging, a lot of sending information. As I said, things get really wacky at the end. And one of the things I've always tried to do to finish and close is just tell the kid to keep the main thing the main thing. A lot of places they sell what I call fluff, and what I sell is people and relationships and third party validation that you're the guy that what you say you do, and you under promise and over deliver in terms of the programming within our program, the things that will make them the best version of themselves. We do some unique things within our program that because our location allows us to, and it's been really helpful. We've got a great product to sell in the university that's a top 25 public institution. Our location is phenomenal. We got great people.
We'll go to Charlotte McBride.
Hey there, Coach. Yeah, that blazer is sharp. I like it. Very festive.
Thank you.
So I know you pride yourself on recruiting right here in the DMV, and you got another great group of guys coming in. Why is that so important to you to recruit right here at home? And also, who excites you most in this new class? The guys right here from the DMV.
Well, it's kind of personal for me, Charlotte. I grew up here, played at Blue High School, and really felt growing up. And you hear this all the time, growing up and playing at Blue High School. My senior year, our team had some really talented players, and we never ever felt that the University of Maryland even really came in to recruit our school. There were always a bunch of kids coming from up north, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania. But never felt like we got love being right here because we'd always been kind of known as a basketball area. But what I have found once I got into coaching, I made a commitment that, wherever I am, I'm going to recruit this DMV area, this DC metro area specifically, because I knew that there are some players there that are really talented players. And I think it's starting to show with when you're looking across the country and see us have 4 and 5 teams ranked in the national high school top 25. You look at our youth football programs that have excelled and go and play and win championships, that we've really got some good football and evident in the Heisman Trophy with the guy from this area winning the Heisman. So I just think that this area was under recruited initially. I feel like I maybe had a hand since I got in this business back in 1992 with opening up the floodgates to where now it's not a secret anymore that the DMV has some really, really good football players. And now everybody in the country is coming here and trying to take our guys, which is why, I put that thing up where I build the wall around the DMV, that the goal is to keep the best players here that want to stay here. And again, we don't always get them all, but we want to get our fair share and really do a great job of minding and taking care of our backyard before we go to somebody else's.
We'll go to Emily.
Hey, I was just gonna ask, I mean, with the progress the program has shown in your years here, I mean, have you noticed a change in kind of recruits' perception of Maryland, and is it in a way almost easier for you to sell the program to them because of what you've shown lately?
It's never easy, Emily, but I do think, our staff has done a great job of getting kids on campus. When you look and see all these youth football teams that come out to practices and with the type of players that we've been able to recruit, like a Stephon Diggs and a Rakim Jarrett and a Talia Tungavailoa, who has a brand in itself. These kids now kind of know it. And I think peer pressure still runs society. And I think we've done a really good job of the picture we painted when we first came in. We can kind of show that it's coming to fruition by the way we've competed. Again, I'm always hesitant to make sure I remind you we're not there yet. And but with a few more players and a few more plays, we've shown that we've kind of closed the gap between the top teams in our league. And now it's time for us to learn and become more consistent at winning some of these games and getting to where we can become a championship level team.
We'll go to Ahmed.
Hey, Coach. Good to see you.
Hey, what's up, man?
I know that we kind of touched on it last cycle where NIL and whatnot it became more prevalent in conversations and recruiting. But I feel like this is the first full cycle where we kind of saw it all kind of play out. And I'm just kind of curious from your perspective, just seeing it from beginning to end, how much did that kind of change the recruiting pitch for you? I know you said keep the main thing when you talk to recruits, but how much did that kind of alter the pitch there?
It's definitely there. It's definitely a part of it. Unfortunately for us, I'm a guy that's going to follow the rules, and you can't use NIL as an inducement for recruiting. But I'm definitely have no problem with sharing the fact that where we're located in an area that's so densely populated with all types of Fortune 500 companies within a 30-minute drive of our campus. We're the 4th largest or 5th largest media market in the country, to where if you do go out and play really well, you can create a brand for yourself that will allow you to take advantage of the new rules of name, image, and likeness. I think the biggest thing that I've sold, though, is that guys in our program, we're not just in it to say, hey, we're giving you money because you play football here. We've created, or not, we are affiliated, loosely affiliated with a foundation called the Best is Ahead Foundation, in which we go into the DC, Maryland, Baltimore areas. And our team is doing great community service with the 4 pillars being gun violence, drugs, and alcohol prevention, mental health, as well as literacy. And now our players are taking advantage of their name, image, and likeness, while also giving back to this great community and drawing and gaining some necessary alliances.
We'll go to Ben Dixon.
Hey, Coach.
Hey, Ben.
You talk about your vision starting to come to fruition when you first got there, but on the flip side of that, of you saying, "Hey, here's what we accomplished so far, back-to-back bowl games." stretching that out to the next step and kind of the high end of those expectations and reaching the levels of the other Big Ten teams. Are there challenges in doing that still in your guys' position?
Yeah, there is. It's evident because we still haven't found a way to crack the code of winning one of those games against the top teams in our league, and we come close. And as you guys know, close isn't good enough. So there's still some challenges because there's some really talented teams in the Big Ten, which is evident when you look and see us have 2 teams in the college football playoffs this year. But I do feel as though with the addition of the type of players we've been able to recruit, along with the foundation we built and the type of staff that we have, as well as the support that we're getting from our bosses and from the donors and boosters that love our program, the next step for us is to start competing for championships. And you haven't heard me talk about this since I've been back, but now is the time as we've taken these necessary growth steps the last 3 years, the last 4 years, if you count COVID as a full year. But it is time now for us to take the big leap and say it's time to compete for championships. And the only way you do that is by having a consistent product week in and week out and recruiting the best players we can possibly get in here.
We'll go to Varun.
Hey, Coach, how are you?
Hey, Varun.
I like the pin on the blazer.
Oh, thanks. This whole thing. I'm trying to, if you guys haven't noticed, I'm trying to get into that top 50 swag list, man. That really bothered me that, I didn't make the top whatever dude's top 50 of swag coaches, man. They make me feel like I'm not swagged out.
You're making a strong case to be there next year, Coach.
All right.
I wanted to ask, with the guys you're seeing, what do you usually look for in freshmen to see if they're people who can contribute on day one? Is there someone from this class that you think could step in?
For us, Varun, I'm bringing them all in to play them now. Redshirt them for who? For the transfer portal. No, and now you guys understand why I play a lot of players, because they don't get better on the bench. They're never happy when they're on the bench. And so if they're good enough to help us in some capacity, we're going to try to find and create roles. Now, if a kid is not ready or can't catch up with the speed of the game, then we typically hold them. But our job and goal now is we're playing them as fast as they can possibly help us. I'm never going to throw a kid to the fire that's not ready. But the expectation is that everybody we're recruiting, we're not recruiting them to come be backups. We're recruiting them to come compete, to play early. Competition is what brings the best out of everybody. We have no problem with bringing in a freshman, and if he's good enough to win a job, and he wins the job, he will. And we've seen that happen around here, and because of it, that's why you see some people get out of, hop in the portal. So the competition is great. We want to recruit players that want to play early and want to come in and compete for starting positions early. But we also have to also take a step back at times and make sure that we're not just throwing a guy out into the fire that's not necessarily ready.
For our final one, we'll go to Wes Brown.
Hey, Coach. On top of the high school talent you guys brought in, you guys added a number of key players through the transfer portal as well. What's the balance like, obviously, with the new waiver that you can kind of just bring in as many players until you get up to the 85 limit? How does that sort of factor in whether you're taking high school guys or transfer guys? And does that sort of change heading after this early signing period?
No, I want to be really clear that I'm going to build this program through the high school programs and high school players first and foremost. I will, like I have in the past with junior college players, use those JUCO players and transfer portal guys to fill needs. And like, for instance, on the O-line, when you lose 3 starters and you've got a younger group behind that will serve as backups, you're looking for a guy that has the ability to maybe come in and plug and play to allow the younger players time to continue to develop. But I'm not one of those guys that's going to be hopping through the portal for 50% of my class. We're going to really build this thing with the high school football players. We'll use the transfer portal and junior college to fill necessary needs where we need immediate help with immediate experience. And I think that's the only way you can keep a consistent culture in your locker room from year to year. And that's just my philosophy, and it's one that we'll continue to work toward.
All right. Thanks, Coach. Thanks, everyone, for joining us.
All right, guys. You guys have a great holiday if I don't see you before then.
Merry Christmas.